Have you ever paused to ask yourself whether some truths are better left unspoken? It's natural to want to open our hearts to the people we love, to share our dreams, our struggles, and even our wildest ambitions. But does full transparency always lead to connection? Or can it sometimes result in tension, confusion, or emotional strain? In the wisdom of Stoic philosophy, clarity and peace often come from knowing what to share and what to hold back. A truly wise person isn't the one who bears their soul to everyone, but the one who carefully chooses what stays within. This isn't about being distant or cold. It's about guarding your mental space and avoiding unnecessary drama. In fact, discretion can be one of the most loving things we do to maintain harmony with our family. Let's take a closer look at 5 personal truths a wise individual inspired by Stoic thinking may choose to keep private, even from family. 1. Your life's true purpose. Have you ever seriously questioned the deeper meaning behind your existence? In our pursuit of success, relationships, or recognition, it's easy to get caught up in surface-level goals, but sometimes these things don't reflect our deeper purpose. Stoicism encourages introspection. It reminds us that the essence of life is deeply personal and not always something that can or should be explained to others. Epictetus once said, "Happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within our control and some things are not." Your purpose is within your control, not your family's. While it's comforting to seek validation from loved ones, oversharing your deepest ambitions can create more noise than support. Families driven by love often respond with concern rather than encouragement, not because they doubt you, but because they fear for you. Big dreams can be misunderstood. Consider people like Elon Musk or Steve Jobs, visionaries who dreamed beyond what most people could grasp. If they had waited for everyone's approval, would they have achieved what they did? Most family members focus on stability and safety. But if your purpose involves risk, uncertainty, or stepping off the beaten path, it may clash with their instinct to protect you. That doesn't mean they're wrong. It just means they might not see what you see. The Stoic way. Take full responsibility for your life. Guard your vision and give it space to grow before exposing it to critique. Inner peace often lies in silent determination. Take Henry David Thoreau, who retreated into nature to live simply and reflect on life. At the time, many thought he was wasting his potential. But for Thoreau, the experience brought freedom, clarity, and peace. So ask yourself, if your family disagreed with your life path, could you still follow it? Stoicism teaches us to value self-knowledge over external approval. Choosing silence around your life's purpose isn't hiding. It's protecting your sacred space to grow, evolve, and understand yourself better. 2. Your fears and anxieties. Let's be honest, we all carry invisible burdens. Insecurities, doubts, fear of failure. These emotions come and go like waves, sometimes overwhelming us without warning. But Stoic philosophy doesn't tell us to ignore these feelings. Instead, it teaches us to face them with strength, discipline, and quiet courage. Yes, you can talk to loved ones about what's troubling you, but there's a difference between seeking support and unintentionally transferring emotional weight. When we constantly share our inner fears with family, we may burden them with worries they can't fix. And sometimes, Their reactions, even well-intended, might intensify our anxiety instead of soothing it. A wise Stoic learns to sit with discomfort, not to bottle it up or deny it, but to process it internally before bringing it to others. Why? Because emotional resilience is built from within. Imagine you're facing the career setback or struggling with self-doubt. Before pouring out all those worries to your family, take a moment to ask yourself, what am I really seeking? Validation? Solutions? Or just comfort? Sometimes, simply acknowledging your fears silently can bring more clarity than speaking them out loud. The Stoic path is not about suppressing emotions, but mastering them. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And often, speaking your fears too early makes them seem more real than they are. Of course, there's strength in vulnerability, but only when it serves growth, not just relief. By learning to manage fear quietly, you give yourself time to respond rather than react. A key Stoic principle. And when you do choose to open up, you'll do so from a place of strength, not desperation. Stoic philosophy teaches that we should not allow anxiety and fear to control our minds. Rather than being overwhelmed by these emotions, we should view them as opportunities to strengthen our inner self-discipline. One of the most prominent Stoic philosophers, Epictetus, famously said, "It is not external events that disturb people, but the judgments and perceptions they form about those events." This quote highlights the Stoic understanding of anxiety. It isn't caused by the external world, but arises from the way we react to events around us. When we experience worry, it doesn't necessarily mean that the situation is critical. It simply indicates that our minds have chosen to view things in a negative light. A wise person following Stoic philosophy avoids sharing inner anxieties and fears with family members. But why is that? The answer lies in the fact that despite their love and concern, family members may not fully understand the depth of personal worries. Worse still, they may inadvertently make things more complicated. When we open up about deeply personal anxieties, it can put pressure on the relationship, cause misunderstandings, and even make the family feel helpless when they can't solve the problem. Have you ever noticed that when you share a worry, it doesn't go away, but instead seems to grow larger in the minds of others? For example, if you confide in loved ones about concerns related to the future, your career or health, they may become more anxious, which in turn can create unnecessary tension. This doesn't mean we should hide everything, but Stoics understand that some emotions need to be processed privately. By doing so, we prevent unnecessary burdening of others and protect the clarity of our own mind. In life, there are countless things beyond our control. We can't control what others think, say, or do, nor can we control the course of events. The one thing we do have control over, however, is our mind, specifically how we react to external circumstances. This is one of the foundational principles of Stoicism. Keeping anxieties and fears to ourselves is not an act of denial, but rather a means of maintaining our peace of mind. It's about not adding to the burdens of others unnecessarily. Take, for instance, successful individuals who often do not share their worries. Despite facing immense pressures, be it financial, reputational, or professional, they understand that expressing these anxieties may not lead to solutions and might instead heighten tension among family and colleagues. Instead of blaming external circumstances, they learn to control their reactions and face challenges with composure, growing stronger in the process. But what happens if we choose to keep our worries to ourselves? Initially, you may feel lonely, but over time you will recognize your inner strength. By not relying on others for reassurance, you are forced to confront your fears head-on and learn how to manage them. This is a critical growth opportunity, one that builds profound resilience. However, there is a fine line between keeping things private for the sake of managing them and allowing anxiety to silently weigh on you. Stoicism doesn't advocate suppressing or ignoring emotions. Rather, it encourages us to approach them rationally and calmly. A Stoic doesn't avoid emotions but embraces them as tools for personal growth. Silence, at times, can be the most effective remedy for our emotional turmoil. When we create space in our minds and calm our internal chatter, anxiety begins to lose its power. Stoics believe that only by not being swept up in a storm of emotions can we clearly see the solutions to our problems. In a world overwhelmed by noise and distractions, holding some anxieties close to the chest can be a powerful means of safeguarding our peace. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wisely stated, "Worrying does not take away tomorrow's troubles. It takes away today's peace." This is a lesson every wise individual should remember. Anxiety is temporary, and with a steady mind we can rise above it. While anxiety and fear are unavoidable parts of life, Stoic philosophy teaches us that instead of burdening others with all our worries, we should learn to face them with composure. A wise person understands that keeping anxieties to oneself is not about hiding them or denying their existence, but rather about preserving peace of mind for ourselves and for those we care about. Now, ask yourself, can you confront your anxieties and fears with calmness, maintain your inner peace, and safeguard the important relationships in your life? Share your thoughts and personal experiences in the comments below. Let's discuss how we can better navigate life's challenges. In every struggle lies an opportunity, but only for those who are prepared to seize it. Mistakes from the past are a reality that most of us have to grapple with at some point. But should we expose all our past mistakes to others, especially our family members? Stoic philosophy suggests that while reflection on past errors is crucial for personal growth, not every mistake needs to be shared, especially when doing so might lead to unintended consequences. A wise person understands that not all mistakes need to be revealed. In many cases, silence is a mark of wisdom. When confronting our past mistakes, Stoicism teaches us that the severity of the mistake is less important than how we choose to perceive and learn from it. This raises an important question. Why do we often feel compelled to share all our mistakes, particularly when revealing them could lead to judgment or misunderstanding from others, especially family? In many cases, our past mistakes can cause unnecessary distress, not just to ourselves, but to those around us. Sometimes, family members, no matter how much they love us, may not be ready or capable of fully understanding the context of our mistakes. For example, consider someone who made poor financial choices in the past, leading to personal difficulties. Sharing this with family might provoke unnecessary worry, create tension, or even spark conflicts over how to manage money moving forward. According to Stoic principles, a wise individual would confront their mistakes quietly, learn from them, and continue forward, fortified by the lessons learned. Instead of seeking validation or sympathy, they use their mistakes as stepping stones toward a stronger, more resilient self. In another example, let's consider the life of Seneca, the renowned Stoic philosopher who lived through various personal and political upheavals. His life was marked by dramatic changes, from serving as an advisor to Emperor Nero to experiencing exile and political conspiracy. Yet, it is through embracing life's challenges and learning from mistakes that we grow as individuals. However, as we reflect on this philosophy, it becomes clear that not everyone may be ready to understand it fully, especially when it comes to sharing our personal mistakes. There's a delicate balance in sharing past mistakes, particularly when it involves loved ones. While the act of sharing can be an opportunity for growth, it can also stir up painful memories or even cause harm. Loved ones may see these mistakes through a lens of judgment rather than compassion, and that can affect relationships negatively. This presents an important question. Can those closest to us truly understand and forgive our past mistakes, or will they inadvertently become hurt and disappointed by them? Even more importantly, constantly revisiting past mistakes can sometimes trap us in a cycle of negativity, hindering our ability to move forward. Stoic philosophy teaches us to focus on the present, to embrace the power of what is within our control, and to let go of what is beyond our grasp. The past, with all of its mistakes and regrets, cannot be changed. If we constantly dwell on it or share it repeatedly, we risk letting it cloud our current reality, robbing us of the inner peace that Stoic wisdom encourages. A wise individual, according to Stoic teachings, does not allow the past to dictate their future, nor do they let their families be burdened by the shadows of past errors. In real life, there are countless examples where not sharing every detail of our mistakes with family can maintain balance and harmony. Take the example of entrepreneurs, leaders, or anyone who has faced significant setbacks in their careers. Do they share every failure with their families? Not necessarily. They understand that while acknowledging mistakes is crucial for growth, it is equally important to keep moving forward with resilience and optimism. It's about protecting their mental and emotional well-being and not allowing others to become weighed down by the emotional burden of past mistakes. Consider a wise leader. They don't pull their family into old struggles or past failures. Instead, they keep those lessons to themselves, learning from them and using them to guide their future actions. The core question we must ask is, what is the purpose of revealing past mistakes? Will it enhance the family bond, or will it only stir up negative emotions, making everyone anxious and unsettled? Stoic philosophy teaches that self-control, the ability to confront our mistakes with calmness and clarity, is a sign of wisdom. A truly wise individual knows that sometimes silence about their past mistakes is not an act of concealment, but rather a way to preserve peace for both themselves and their loved ones. This brings us to a crucial aspect of Stoic philosophy. The decision to share or not share our mistakes is not about being dishonest. Instead, it is about being wise in how we communicate, protecting the emotional well-being of our relationships. Mistakes are a part of life, but the way we choose to confront and learn from them is entirely within our control. We'd like to thank you for staying with us so far in this discussion. Your willingness to engage in this philosophy demonstrates your readiness to deepen your understanding of Stoic wisdom. Now, let's turn our attention to the next key principle in self-improvement: pausing your thoughts when considering risky future plans. Have you ever been in a position where you had a bold, ambitious plan for the future, but found yourself hesitant to share it with your family due to fear of judgment or failure? This is where Stoic wisdom truly shines. Stoicism teaches us that not all plans should be shared, particularly those that are risky or uncertain. Behind this teaching lies the understanding that not everyone has the same level of rationality or calmness when it comes to viewing ambitious projects. As Epictetus once said, "Don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will, and then your life will flow well." The future is full of unknowns. No matter how carefully we plan, we cannot control every variable. Sharing a risky plan with family or friends can inadvertently create pressure or invite unwanted concern. Stoicism encourages us to focus on what is within our control, our actions, our mindset, and avoid wasting energy on what we cannot predict or influence. Why does Stoic philosophy advise caution when it comes to sharing risky plans? It's because when we talk about plans that are not yet realized or have not yet yielded concrete results, we open ourselves up to potential negativity. Once these plans are shared, others may analyze them, worry about them, or in some cases discourage us altogether. While these concerns may come from a place of love and protection, they can also hinder our progress. Family members who care deeply for us may suggest a safer path out of concern for our well-being. But this safety might not lead to growth. A plan that is daring and full of risks may, if well executed, result in great success. However, too early of a revelation can cause us to lose the focus and drive necessary to follow through. Consider the real-life story of Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. Before he became the wealthiest man in the world, Bezos had a much larger dream: to conquer space with his company Blue Origin. Interestingly, this was a goal that very few people knew about in the early stages of his career. Bezos was careful not to share this ambitious vision too soon. Instead, he focused on building Amazon into a success before revealing his plans to the public. Had he shared his dream of space exploration too early, he might have faced harsh criticism for abandoning his current achievements. By waiting for the right moment, however, Bezos was able to turn his bold vision into a reality, ultimately founding one of the most innovative space companies in the world. In conclusion, the Stoic approach to risky plans encourages us to protect our ambitions from early criticism. It's not about hiding the truth. It's about ensuring that our ideas have the time and space to mature before they are subjected to external judgment. A wise individual understands the importance of timing, and when the time is right, they are ready to share their bold plans, knowing that they have the strength to see them through. Stoics are not individuals who shy away from risk. On the contrary, they are those who approach risk with wisdom and rationality. This requires not only patience, but the mental strength to manage external pressures. A wise person, when formulating a risky plan, often keeps it to themselves. By doing so, they not only shield themselves from judgment, but also create the space to think clearly and with a focused mind. Have you ever noticed how we tend to feel pressured when others learn of our uncertain plans? The reason behind this feeling is that we allow things outside of our control to influence our thoughts. Stoic philosophy, however, teaches us that only we, as individuals, truly understand our goals and the most effective way to face the challenges that arise. Before sharing your plans with others, ensure you are prepared, not only financially but mentally as well. Thus, a wise individual is not someone who avoids risky plans, but rather someone who knows when to keep them private and when to reveal them. Stoicism reminds us that before we disclose such plans, we must ensure we are ready, both spiritually and in our actions. Sharing cautiously isn't just about protecting ourselves from failure. It's about maintaining inner peace and fortifying ourselves to handle whatever may come. Now, moving on to another aspect of Stoic philosophy: criticism. In today's world, criticizing others has almost become automatic. It's easy for us to comment on the actions, decisions, or thoughts of others without fully understanding the impact of our judgments. From a Stoic standpoint, criticism is not only unnecessary but can also cause harm. Why should a wise person, following Stoic principles, avoid criticizing others, particularly in the context of family relationships? Stoicism teaches us that each person is on their own unique path, one that we cannot fully understand. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus famously said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." This is a reminder that rather than rushing to judgment, we should listen more and seek to understand others' viewpoints. In many cases, criticism doesn't resolve the issue. It only exacerbates tensions, creates conflict, and inflicts emotional pain. Stoicism emphasizes the need to differentiate between what is within our control and what is not. When we criticize others, we are attempting to control their behavior, thoughts, and decisions, things over which we have no authority. This not only wastes our energy but also increases dissatisfaction and tension in our relationships, especially with family members. A Stoic focuses on controlling their own emotions and responses, rather than trying to manipulate or control others. Family is a space for understanding, compassion, and empathy. But what happens when criticism enters this space? When criticism becomes a frequent occurrence, it can unintentionally build walls, erode trust, and strain relationships. For example, consider a husband who constantly criticizes his wife's way of managing household responsibilities. While the intent may be to improve the situation, these criticisms often make the wife feel judged, less confident, and inadequate. Instead of resolving the issue, such criticism creates distance, and rather than fostering a sense of connection, it undermines trust and love. Stoics understand that no one is flawless. Everyone has their imperfections and makes mistakes. This is why tolerance and understanding are vital for preserving harmony in relationships. When we encounter behaviors or actions we disagree with, instead of quickly resorting to criticism, we must first seek to understand the reasons behind those actions. Perhaps our loved ones are facing challenges we are unaware of, or they may hold values that differ from ours. Take, for example, a father who is disappointed by his son's career choice, which doesn't align with his own expectations. Instead of criticizing his son's decision, a wise father would take the time to listen and try to understand his son's passions and aspirations. This is the essence of Stoic wisdom. By choosing silence, observation, and understanding, we not only protect our inner peace, but also foster trust and mutual respect. When we refrain from unnecessary criticism, we can maintain a positive atmosphere within our families. This approach is not a sign of indifference or a lack of concern. On the contrary, remaining silent when criticism is unwarranted is an expression of love and respect. A wise person recognizes that silence and listening often carry more weight than words. Criticism may seem easy to deliver, but it often brings about negative consequences that could have been avoided. According to Stoic philosophy, a wise individual understands that criticism rarely improves relationships and often contributes to increased tension. Rather than criticizing, we should strive to listen, understand, and accept the differences of those around us. In family dynamics where emotional bonds run deep, staying silent when confronted with actions we may not fully agree with can preserve peace and promote harmony. This approach brings wisdom and tranquility to both parties involved. It's worth considering. Are your criticisms truly necessary, or are they simply an unnecessary burden? As we navigate the journey of growth and inner peace, a wise person learns the art of keeping certain things to themselves. This is not an expression of coldness or emotional detachment, but a profound understanding of human nature and the intricacies of relationships. In the spirit of Stoicism, keeping certain matters private isn't about evading or concealing the truth. It's about safeguarding harmony within the family and ensuring balance within the soul. A wise person knows that not every thought or feeling needs to be shared. Sometimes, silence is the highest form of understanding and love. Amidst all the advice and philosophies that life offers, one of the most crucial lessons is knowing when to speak and when to remain silent.